Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome to the commentary video for my Toy Story review. So first of all, apologies again for how long this has gotten to come out. I've been so busy with other projects on, and I've only now managed to get around to the commentary video. But it's also kind of nice to wait a little while before you can actually get around to watching your review again, because when you're actually editing my reviews, because they take so long to edit and I keep rewatching them over and over again, you kind of get sick of your own content and you just want to kind of take a break from it. So here I can watch my review back with a slightly fresher eyes than before. This particular review actually doesn't contain any deleted scenes. So if you're wondering where the deleted scenes video was for this review, that's why it simply doesn't have one. I did delete like one scene, but it felt weird to make like a deleted scenes video when it's just one scene, and plus the joke was really bad anyway, so it just felt really bizarre. Sorry, I got a really itchy nose at the moment. Yeah, it just felt kind of bizarre just to upload that as a singular video. So yeah, but yeah, without further ado, let's begin this review. You guys seem to quite enjoy this review. I kind of fell into the same trap I think I did with the Raiders of the Lost Ark review, where the review was more about just making jokes and it wasn't so much about being critical. But that's kind of the thing when you review a movie that's so good, it's like what's there to be critical of? And you know, I make like the joke later on in the review where I say, "Oh, I'm going to be critical now," and then have the audience gasp at it. So that's I was kind of making my fun of myself right there. But anyway, the next review will be another viewer poll where you guys can have your say. So who knows? You might choose another movie that can be a bit more critical of. So yeah, without further ado, let's actually begin this thing, and I'll add my thoughts as I go on. So without further ado, let's go. It was so good to use my Woody doll again, because I used it in my Home Alone 3 review. And if like a very very short skip, maybe a lot of you guys might not remember, but I was making fun of this doll in Home Alone 3 that was like really really depressing, because you would pull its string and then it would cry. Again, watch my Home Alone 3 review to see that bit, and I just wanted to do that joke again because it was pretty funny. It feels weird talking about VHSs in 2019. I mean, my audience, you guys are a lot. Of you guys are quite young, so I don't even know if you even remember what the hell they are. Actually, I made that reference to my Mortal Kombat X review, where if you're too young to know what this item is, then stop watching this review. So, but it's crazy how young some of my audience, because how young my audience can be. Ah, those were the days. Yeah, my brother had the Buzz, and then I had the Woody doll. And over the years, he he didn't exactly treat it very well. Hey, he looks kind of familiar now, doesn't he? It was Far From Home recently that reminded me of that. It was kind of like a joke I originally wasn't planning, but as soon as I took Buzz's head off, I was like, "Oh shit, that looks like Mysterio." That's the spirit. This is Toy Story. So the movie begins in the room of a little boy called Andy, and it's immediately evident that this is the first feature length. I mean, I was just saying that I'm not too critical in this review, but I immediately begin this review talking about the animation, which hasn't aged that well. But again, it's like it's such. It was literally the very first feature length animated Pixar animated CGI film. I mean, there were like other CG. I think like Reboot was like the very first CG TV show. Did that come out before Toy Story? I think it might have did. Yeah. I get you. It's night and day. Like the animation. I watched Toy Story 4 recently in the cinema, and the animation has just gotten so much better over the years. It's I felt bad about that because I actually referenced this scene again in my Nitro Field review. I mean, about this though, it's like if people don't get the reference, they must have been like, "What the hell are you doing?" For the longest time, I wanted to do this. I think this was a big reason why I wanted to do the Toy Story review in the first place, because I had this idea for a skit where I would show how the scene where Andy puts Woody down the banister, how it just wouldn't work in real life. In my house, I've got this like really short banister as well. It's like about 2 feet or so, and compared to the movie, which is like more like 6 feet long, and so I had to sort of use editing trickery to make it look longer than it actually was. Oh, this bit is probably the most physical comedy I've ever done. I had to move this chair. This was the chair I landed on. This chair that I'm on right now, and I moved it all the way down to my kitchen and my mattress as well, which is what I used to sleep on. I had to move that all the way down there because there's a lot more room down there. And I just sort of like tried to tip it over as much as I could, and then I landed on the mattress, and it took about, I think I nailed it on the first take actually, but I did about 4 or 5 takes of that, and it turned out really well. I like to do more like physical comedy like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. This turned out so much better than expected. I just loved the Woody transition with him laughing like this. It's right here. I'm gonna have to keep using that. So this bit where I talk about the Etch a Sketch, for the longest time it feels very nitpicky, but I'm trying to build up to a joke where I have him pull the middle finger. And it took a while. I mean, I'd never done an effect like that. Like, it's in After Effects, there's this thing you can do where you can write something like text, and then using the pen tool, you like go over the whole text, and it makes it look like it's being handwritten on the screen. And that same effect I used for the middle finger, and it turned out a lot better than I thought it'd be. I mean, I always like challenging myself with these edits. There's always like lots of different things I want to do. Like maybe like some CGI work using something like Cinema 4D or something like that'd be really cool, but I have no idea how to use that. Oh, and that took absolutely forever as well. I mean, it's just such a quick little bit, but it took me like about 2 hours to work out how to edit that go fuck yourself thing. On this particular bit, I almost cut out from the review, but nah, it kind of ruined the pacing, and I thought it was a funny, good point to bring up. Oh, I learned something. When Rex says, "I don't think I could take that kind of rejection," I think that's actually a reference to aligning Back to the Future. I think I saw like a YouTube video where it was about that, and it's like such a random thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just a huge coincidence that it matches a line from Back to the Future. I think Marty McFly says it, but apparently it's a reference. So yeah, I had to do an Ali Ermy bit in this review sometime. I've seen some like YouTube poops that did just that, but I wanted to do my own little version, and I thought it'd be funny to use Woody screaming to reference the war face scene. I was gonna do this like bit with the guns where I would have muzzle flash effects on them, and I would make it look like the soldier men were shooting at me. And then I had this idea where I would sort of like duck out of the way to cover from the fire, and then it turns out they were deliberately missing me, and they were shooting at the wall, and then the bullet holes in the wall would sort of have an arrow pointing at me. This wall right here, actually, they would have an arrow pointed at me, and then it would read something like "idiot," and then that was the idea for a joke, but it just I thought would take way too long, so I just decided to hell with it. And I thought I've done so many friggin' edits in this review, and I just I couldn't be bothered. Oh, it was a Punch Out reference, that is, of all things. I wanted to do something with that because it's really funny when Rex bashes his head on that tin can. I was gonna do like a Grand Theft Auto wasted effect, but I did that same joke in my episode 2 review, so I had to come up with something different.
Okay. I don't think that was the best introductory approach,
Oh,
Will.
there was a joke there about data roaming, and I recently went to Paris. Well, not recently; it was about a couple of years ago now. But I remember I was trying to play Pokemon Go when I was there, and I couldn't get online, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, and it was because I forgot to turn on data roaming. And I thought maybe if other people had that same problem, they might find that joke pretty funny. I actually got a comment from somebody saying that they were going to do that same edit of Woody coming out from behind Buzz, but I beat them to it, and he was like, "Damn it!" But it was crazy actually as well, like about how many people submitted their own little hello jokes. I must have gotten like about well over a dozen submissions, which was crazy. I thought I was only going to get like maybe 2 or 3, but a lot of people really did a lot of really funny bits with it. Like somebody put Woody into like a Wallace and Gromit cartoon. Somebody put oh there was just so many. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was really really funny to see. And yeah, if you want to do one again, like still keep submitting. They're a lot of fun.
Tell you, I could fly around this room with my eyes closed.
Okay then, Mr. Lightbeer, prove it.
All right, then I will. Stand back, everyone.
Buzz, are you sure
I
that
was debating for the longest time what to do with this. Like, obviously, it was the obvious joke to make him look like he sort of like smashes into the ground, but I thought I could take it a step further by what if he actually smashes right through the ceiling. And I thought it'd be kind of funny, and I couldn't figure out a way to edit this to make it look like Buzz sort of smashes through the ceiling, and then he sort of like lands where Andy and his mom is, and then and then they're like, "Ah, the live toy," and I thought it'd be funny, but I couldn't think of a funny way to edit that, so I just sort of used the scene later of him crashing in Sid's house.
Don't even
I was
try to
really
boy.
on the edge about that because it's like, is that because that whole "ha gay" joke, it's like, is it homophobic? I mean, it's I kind of on the fence about it. You know, I think it's in good jest, good taste, but it's kind of like it rides that fine line, doesn't it? And I really, don't want to be, you know, offensive or anything, but I thought it was the best clip to use for that bit. And I had to use that Lenny clip.
called Sid, who spends his free time blowing up toys? And boy, does he love it.
That is sin.
I was trying to like think of the right Lenny clip to use from The Simpsons, and then I remembered that bit when he's acting all drunk in front of Mr. Burns, and he's like, "Hey!" it's, the, it's probably my favorite Lenny bit.
A kid who sets off literal explosions in his backyard would have the police called on him, but his neighbors seem to give about as many shits as Kim Jong Un.
Apparently not. Yeah, that little joke there. I don't know if anybody got that, but the whole thing about Kim Jong Un is that it's believed that he doesn't defecate, so he gives about as many shits as Kim Jong Un. Apparently not. I don't know if anybody got that joke. Maybe it was, maybe I was pushing it a bit too much there, but yeah. Oh, I used the pizza time bit there, and it was weird because I didn't realize how memed the pizza time bit was in Spider-Man 2. And then so I had to use it, and then there's the guilty conscience rap. I used to listen to this song all the time as a kid because I had this Walkman disc-like thing, and I had Real Slim Shady on there as an Eminem single, and I think Guilty Conscience came as like the second track on that single. I used to listen to it like hell back in the day, and I saw Rap Critic actually recently, well not recently, he did it a while back, but he did his own little version of Guilty Conscience recently, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I've got to do something like that and play to that whole devil angel trope where I play like the good guy, where I'm like, oh, don't do that, that's bad, and then Bob plays like the devil version. Oh, this little bit actually on the left there, in the You Decide the ERB reference. The background, I don't know if anybody caught this, but the background I used, the background image behind me, that's the same wallpaper I used to have in my old house. You know, that red, white, silver wallpaper, the stripy one? That's the same background. I don't know if anybody caught that little Easter egg, but yeah. I like to put little Easter eggs in my reviews. Like in my Return of the King review, actually, when I did the it was like a reference to Smeagol's and you know the QuickTime event bit in Return of the King, where I fail a QuickTime event and I'm like, damn it, and then I hit the button and it shows like a Super Mario Brothers screen, and then the top left of the screen it says like a number, and you might think that the number was random, but that number corresponds to letters of the alphabet and it spells out precious. And I thought nobody would be able to uncover that little tidbit, but yeah, but I like putting little Easter eggs like that in. This actually only came to my attention rather recently. This deleted scene, but it's terrifying about how Toy Story could have actually turned out. Especially Slinky. Like Slinky is such, you know, a good character in Toy Story. He's like the only character that, you know, is like truly morally perfect, really. And then when he's like, throw him out the window, and I'm like, oh my god. Why do you say we go for a little spin? That's from Space Jam. That ooh bit is from Hot Shots Part 2. I was trying to like find another clip of the characters reacting in pain, but I couldn't think of any other one. This is a reference to that Big Enough music video with the screaming cowboy. I must admit, like, if you don't get the reference, then you must be like, what the hell is going on? And that's the thing about this review in particular, it's full of references and memes, and if you understand the reference, you probably will find it funny. If you don't, you'll be like, what the hell? Oh, this little bit I want to point out. I watched an evil and your enemy. I'm lost. If you watch the movie, I think you'll get that joke. Especially like once the minute the movie ends, that last little bit with Jake Gyllenhaal looking into that, I think it was a bathroom, and then he sees that thing. I'm not gonna spoil what he sees, but you'll be like, I'm lost. Yeah, it was a reference to Rogue One, that. Danish guy. I had to look that up actually. Mads Mikkelsen. He's Danish. Okay. Oh shit! He's gonna snap. That I was trying to like sentence mix it a bit and have like a Tom Hanks or Woody say fuck, but I couldn't find any example of it, so I settled for this clip from, I think it was one of the Ted movies, when you hear the him saying fuck. That's Mark Wahlberg's voice. I had to make this reference. It's funny because I've never actually seen the anime Initial D, I think it's called. I've never seen it, but I know the meme. And then that game over bit as well. I was thinking about doing this little bit rather. That little bit right there. That took me so long to rotor brush that bit. It took me like 2 to 3 hours to rotor brush that tiny little bit. And that's another rotor brush. I use so many rotor brush effects. And there's a third one coming up. It's these rotor brush effects, man. They really take it out of you. I think this joke here about the whole claw machine being unrealistic, I think it differs from like country to country. Where I think like in America and the UK, claw machines are like really flimsy, but I think maybe in other countries like they might be a bit better. In Japan, for example, I'm not sure, but yeah. Speaking of Japan, I'd always love to go. The first thing I do is just go to one of those claw machines to find out if they are any better. I wonder if anybody got this little bit where it was like, oh yeah.
This kid's got quite the thing for
What decapitation? I would like it here.
I would like it here.
I wonder if anybody remembered that was a little throwback to a joke earlier on in the review where I make Bo looks like she beheads Woody.
The apocalypse has not been kind to Tommy Pickles. Though it's up for debate as to which.
That was the first thing that came to my eyes. Like clearly that's like Tommy Pickles. Such a funny episode, but it's so weird to see him like proudly go buck naked.
It's not working.
So, are we gonna ignore the fact that Buzz just attempted to murder a baby?
I mean, to be fair, he is like got a claw, legs and everything. True cool.
Next on film.
I'd recently found out about this like audio effect in Adobe Audition that made it sound like that. All you need to do is just add this effect and it can make anybody sound really evil. Yeah, there's seems to be like whole YouTube videos out there. That's what I was trying to make fun of there about IMDb trivia page and how people just sort of read it to create videos about trivia from a movie, and it seems quite lazy, that, and I thought it'd be fun to make fun of that. Wile E. Coyote thing. I was wanting to, like, once he fell and he landed, I wanted to like use a clip of a character just going ow like that sort of comedically time it well.
To have been at James Nesbitt's wedding, just to hear the priest say, "I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. Nesbitt." Yeah.
I wonder if anybody, I mean, nobody outside the UK probably understood that because they probably don't know who James Nesbitt is.
Mom, are you doing your shit Tom Hanks impression again? So Woody.
There was also, I was like trying to find out if there was actually legitimate, really a Mrs. Nesbitt, and I was researching about who James Nesbitt was married to, and he was married, but I think his wife didn't actually change her name, so she wasn't Mrs. Nesbitt, and I'm like, no. But so apparently it didn't happen at their wedding. I love that little edit.
We tried.
Oh, you know that see right there, art director Ralph Eggleston. Apparently, the Eggman moving group you see later on in the movie, that's who that group is named after, the art director of the movie, Ralph Eggleston. So it's not an Eggman reference.
Okay, so believe it or not, I actually have a criticism.
So this is the bit I was on about earlier, like, oh my god, I'm actually criticizing the movie, what the hell?
Okay, here we go with my point. So, Toy Story films are later known to have those tearjerker moments.
Yeah, I mean, I made this review before I watched Toy Story 4. I hadn't watched it in cinemas yet, and it's funny because I uploaded the review before I saw Toy Story 4, so I was like, please, no one in the comments spoil it, and thankfully no one did. So, although I did get a message from somebody spoiling Far From Home from me, so poo. I think the guy assumed I'd already seen it, but I hadn't, so yeah. So one of the drawbacks of being a YouTuber that talks about movies, you kind of have to be really up to date with everything.
Because in the next scene, we see her upset over Woody not being there. So it would seem she believes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. This apparently, it might be like not 100% makes sense, this bit, because when Toy Story 1 was in pre-production, they wanted to use Barbie instead of Bo Peep, but I think Mattel didn't give them the rights to the character. I think it's Mattel that makes Barbie dolls, I could be wrong. But yeah, they saw how successful Toy Story 1 was, and then they wanted to use her in the sequel.
Woody can't mourn for long as Sid returns with an eagerly awaited.
I should probably stop with the Snoop Dogg references now, but it was too perfect with Slinky Dog. Oh, apologies if I seem acting a bit weird. I've got a sudden case of pins and needles, right? I was kind of sitting on my leg a bit there.
So Sid straps the rocket to Buzz with the intention of blowing him up.
Well, yep, that's really bad. Apologies.
I'm not a space ranger.
It's the worst thing when you get them in public and suddenly you're walking around like an idiot.
Oh, could be worse. With a name like Buzz, I'd just be grateful you're not the kind of toy Ann Summers sells.
I was debating whether to change that because Ann Summers is a British chain that is a sex shop based in Britain, and I don't know if anybody outside the UK would get that reference.
5 to 7? Didn't we
That's the thing about international audiences. Like I was like that, but to a little too damn international audience. You know, you want to try and make jokes that everyone laughs at, but unfortunately, some references you make, not everyone is going to get.
up to Andy's house? What the hell were you doing all this time? What was the
Yeah, it is.
throwing those metal
It is
rings
kind of
in
bizarre.
that
This.
bad?
Oh, this bit. I actually in the review I call them metal ring thingies because I couldn't for the life of them remember what they were, and then somebody in the comments said they're called washers, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're called. I was trying to Google it. I was typing like metal ring thing, and I couldn't find it, and apparently they're called washers. So.
Please. He's my friend. He's the only one I've got.
For whatever reason, why a 9-year-old kid has washers in his bedroom. Speaking of IMDb trivia, this was something I found out about where, yeah, apparently he was using Morse code, and immediately I came up with the idea, oh, maybe he's saying something really, really funny, like dark or something.
I've left me living in
Constant agony, please kill me.
Really? Nah, just fucking with you. Ugh. Nah, he's just saying message received, come out. Oh, well, that was just
Apparently it's more like Morse code speak, like R come out, and then R means like message received for some reason. Yeah. Oh, and this Morse code bit again, another Easter egg. I got like a lot of comments of people saying, "Oh, what is it? What is it?" And a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can't figure it out. It's too quick." But loads of people did figure it out. I got lots of comments from people saying that. But unfortunately, the very first comment saying that they figured it out, he got the movie wrong, and everyone was upvoting that comment, and it was annoying because he was misleading everyone, and it wasn't this movie; it was another one. I think a lot people really love that bit, but again, like if you don't know who Michael Rosen is, you'll be like, "What?" Again, like it's my brother. He got me into the YouTube poops. Yeah, and ever since then, it sort of fits well with my editing style, very very YouTube poopy. And speaking of which, that's quintessential YouTube poop. Pingas.
the cowboy brings out RC to help. Might have been a good idea.
Oh, this little bit. I was trying to like find a clip of a character saying something akin to "fuck him up," and I found it in it's actually another Full Metal Alchemist reference, and because there's this it's Pig Power in the House reference, Nostalgia Critic. There was like an outtake video that the cast members of Full Metal Alchemist made, where they just had their characters say funny things, and there's, I think it was Edward's father that says "fuck him up." His voice actor says it, not the character. And I thought that's perfect. I got to use that. And it was where the Alphonse bit when it's like "fuck yeah" came from as well. It's that from that same video. It's like a treasure trove of fun clips to use as that video. Just search for it. Full Metal Alchemist outtakes. It's really funny. Slinky, slinky, go, slinky, go. Ace Ventura is one of my all-time favorite comedies. I think When Nature Calls might even be funnier than the original. That particular scene is just so hilarious.
I've got it. Just have Woody give RC his batteries. He ain't gonna need his pull string anytime soon.
Oh, actually, for this little bit, I'm going to mute the audio because I got a copyright claim here for the use of Careless Whisper. So,
You're gonna need to drop your
I'm just
pants,
going to,
cowboy.
yeah. One of the comments I got actually was, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" I laughed my ass off, and I remember singing that bit in Toy Story 2, and it was actually a YouTube poop where they made a kind of similar joke where that bit when he reaches for the belt in Toy Story Review. It was just censored to make it look like he was grabbing for something else, and I thought it'd be funny to make it look like he was reaching for Woody's batteries.
What? What are you talking about?
Although Toy Story 4 came out, and it turned out his voice box isn't actually stored there; it's kind of stored more in his back. So that kind of ruined it a bit. But again, my doll in real life, his batteries are indeed stored in his butt, so I had to come up with a bit for that. Oh, that episode 5 bit when I put Toy Story in Star Wars, that came out looking so much better than I thought. It really looks like he's in the movie, and I was so impressed with myself when I got that and finished editing. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a continuity error with that, where if you see the bit when they're going over my head, my hands are on my head like this, and then in the next shot, my hands are all of a sudden on the wheel, and I don't know if anybody caught that, but I was debating whether I wanted to refilm it, but I couldn't be bothered. Again, these reviews just take so long to do. You know, there's certain things you just kind of can't be bothered with after you've done so much.
The Pixar universe is shit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was saying the Pixar universe there. I mean, who knows? Maybe duct tape in Ratatouille might be better.
Well, that's risky. I mean, surely the truck makes more sense.
This is another quite timely edit.
Closed. Alright, they make it. And that is pretty much the movie, for they all safely settle into their new digs for Christmas. Though Potato Head gets a nice surprise.
I was thinking about making this reference earlier on in the review, when he's like, Mr. Potato Head, Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, no, Mrs. Potato Head. And yeah, immediately I thought to myself, like, okay, he wants Mrs. Potato Head, but he's kind of lacking something, so time to grow some genitalia. It's one of my favourite Nostalgia Critic jokes, that from his Casper review. One of my favourite reviews of his period. Like, if you've never even seen Nostalgia Critic, start off with his Casper review. It's absolutely hilarious.
An iconic soundtrack from Randy Newman, and a funny but hearty script courtesy of these folks.
Yeah, again, I felt so... I did indeed feel like a moron. I couldn't believe I didn't realise that Joss Whedon co-wrote it. Apparently, he was sort of brought in, like, after they had finished writing the script, and he was, like, trying to, like, punch it up a bit. And apparently he did a very good job. I mean, had he not been included, then the movie would probably be more akin to the deleted scene bit when Slinky's like, throw him out the window.
How does this film look as good as it does? Well, it's
That blows my mind, that this movie came out the same year as the bloody PS1, and you compare the graphics on the PS1 and then the movie quality here, and it's like, how on earth did they do it?
not the reflections on Buzz's helmet, not the complex shadow effects, not the textures that aren't squeaky clean for the sake of extra realism. It's nothing short of astounding, and these people should be held as animation gods.
You know, everyone sort of says, you know, for my Cinema Sings series of videos, everyone's like, oh my god, that must have taken you so long to do. But what's weird is that you never see those kind of like comments on like animated videos, which take so much longer. You know, and my videos are just nothing in comparison to animated videos. So yeah. Oh, anyway, this is the sponsor message. I don't think we need to commentate over that. Although there is I'll just go forward here a bit. There is the little bit at the end.
You had best unfuck yourself, or I will
I'll screw your head and shit down your neck. I had to do that for the last bit. Yeah. So anyway, that was the Toy Story review. After I finally finished editing it, I'm still not used to recording these. I'm always looking at the screen. I'm not looking at the camera. Hello. I'm always looking down here. That's where I can see myself. Yeah. So after the review went up, and I didn't realize about how many of the how much of the review was just edited jokes. And I think I got a comment from somebody saying, "Oh, you should do like YouTube poops then." And I have thought about that, but it's kind of nice to like have my face there in the review as well. It's nice to make it more critical as well, and do jokes that are more like live action bits, like the bit with the banister and me toppling over the chair and things like that, which were a lot of fun to do. And I'd like to do more stuff like that as well. So more like physical comedy, more like stuff with me on screen as well, and still like do a lot of edited jokes as well, but try and focus a bit more on me as well, and trying to do that kind of style of humor as well, which I think I personally need to get a bit better at. I think my video editing is pretty decent by this point, but maybe like me presenting myself on camera needs to be a bit more energetic, a bit more have a bit more pizzazz in it, I guess. So yeah, that is my commentary review for Toy Story. Well, thank you very, very much for watching. In terms of new videos that are coming up soon, the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled review there should be up about now. I think I've got it as I'm filming this. I've just uploaded it to YouTube. I'm about to make it public. So it should be up. Hope you enjoyed that. And I'm also going to be uploading a new viewer poll up as well, and I think I'm going to combine that with a new Q&A video as well. So I'm going to start the Q&A video saying the viewer poll is up, and then you guys can ask questions, and also put forward and vote rather on what movie review I do next. I'm thinking it probably will be Iron Man, because everyone's asking me to do Spider-Man Homecoming, because I'm known for my Spider-Man reviews, but I've got to do Iron Man, and I've got a lot of movies to get to before I finally get around to doing Spider-Man. I mean, I suppose I could do that old 70s Japanese Spider-Man movie, but probably not. It's funny because I've actually never even seen it, but yeah, I'm more of like a big blockbuster guy. I like to review movies that people are quite familiar with, because it's like that when I watch Nostalgia Critic, when he reviews a movie that I have already seen, then it makes the review that much more special, because you see somebody else reacting to what you already know and love, and that's what makes it quite special. And I want to try and emulate that and review like very well known and beloved films, which unfortunately does kind of make it difficult to be critical of them at times, but which is why I should review more bad movies. I think I'll put some lesser quality films, I think, on the next viewer poll, and then maybe we'll see if you guys want to see that, or whether you want to see me just focus on something a bit more beloved. Because I got a comment from somebody saying, "Oh, I like how your reviews aren't too negative. It seems more like you're just having fun. You're being a bit more optimistic." And I don't know, maybe that's more my thing. I'm British, so we tend to be a bit cynical sometimes. So maybe it's nice to be a bit more positive for once. Anyway, I'm rambling. Yeah. So again, thank you very, very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.